Welcome back, guys. I'm going to be sharing my method to relieve tight hips. So in high school, I know I really felt like an impingement in my hips a little bit.
Especially with soccer,
Yeah, we were doing a lot of sports at the same time, doing weightlifting, and it was really tight for our hips a lot of the times because we were doing a lot of movements in soccer, martial arts, and then lifting. So we're doing heavy lifts. It's going to make the muscles tight. And if you're not stretching every night, your muscles aren't going to be that happy with you. You know, I feel like if we would have implemented some bedtime stretching, a lot, I feel like it would have really helped us out. And we actually found the stretch out because we were suffering so bad from tight hips. So this really alleviated our tight hip pain and kind of got rid of mine. I don't really have it anymore. Usually we get underneath the bar for squat and we just feel a little bit of tightness, around here in our hip region or front of the hip region. And when we were going down, it was really felt like a pinching when we would get down at the bottom.
Or
So
it's like grinding.
Yeah, it was real bad. I feel like there wasn't a lot of room for our hips to move around properly. And that just goes from, your muscles being too tight, some of them working overtime, especially if your squat form is a little off. And that could have also been what was, the cause of it. So be sure you're checking your squat form, look at our other video for how to squat properly. And today we're going to be sharing you this stretch that I think really helped us a lot in high school. All right, so this works better with having a rack because they're sturdy. You can grab a hold of them and lean back on them, tipping over on top of you, unless it's a shitty rack. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to find your support. And so this is what we're going to use for our support. And we're basically just going to take a squat stance, a pretty wide squat stance, with our toes kind of angled out just a little bit. We're basically just going to squat. And we're just going to sink down really low, lower than what we normally would in a squat. We're going to use our support beam here to make sure we're not going to fall back, but it's going to allow us to get lower than normal. So what we're going to do is we're going to squat. And I'm real tight from the other day, and I'm already feeling in my hammies, my quads, but also my hips. It's also stretching my lower back a little bit because if you have butt wink, you'll know that your lower back will get really tight if you're squatting with a lot of butt wink. So we're going to hold here. Some people like pulsating, and then we'll bring in our legs, and that way we can get deeper with our squat. And this is going to help stretch out our quads as well. We're going to lean forward. All right, so run through that again. Grab a support rack, get pretty close to it. We're going to take a wide stance, about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width. Our toes are not straight forward, they're flared out just a little bit. And now we're just going to squat. And so a regular squat would stop here, but instead we're going to go lower than that. And that's really stretching my lower back and my hips right now. I feel it, especially back through here and up to where that impingement was in high school on the side of my hips. Also stretching out those knees really well doing this. And while you're supporting yourself this rack, you can it lets you dictate how much weight you actually want to sit back with. I can really hold up my weight with a support rack if I feel like I'm putting a little bit too much strain on my lower body, but it helps allow you the ability to stretch a little bit more and a little bit less depending on how you feel and what you're comfortable with. I don't recommend forcing it. If you're feeling a lot of pain, don't force this movement. This is a static movement, it's not dynamic. I recommend you learn the difference between both of those. If you're coming in for a leg day, you need to be doing a dynamic movement before your squat day. This one, I think, falls into a possibility before your squat day, but the risk of static stretches is not only the decrease in strength from doing static stretching before you actually work out, but you can also risk an injury. So if I go too low or I put a lot of stress on one of my muscles, it might create a small micro tear in the muscle. And when I put that muscle under load, then it's going to create the muscle tear and make the injury. So that's why I recommend if your squat day, you need to be doing squats with light weight, doing a lot of reps, warming up, getting your body temperature up. And that way you're reducing your risk for injury. And if you are going to do static stretching, I recommend you do the dynamic stretching first. Now Thomas is going to demonstrate for us. There we go. Now see how low he's getting? He's getting a good stretch. He's going to put more weight on it. That's why he's moving his hands down. Now he's adjusting his legs to be able to stretch different parts of his muscles and get a deeper stretch. You can go wider, you can go more narrow, depends on how you feel in the stretch, because this is a great way to stretch out a lot of the hips and overall to stretch out the muscles in your leg. There you go. Good. And notice the angle of the toes, they're not straight. You can see how wide he is. And like I said earlier, this isn't like a squat. You're going way lower, kind of bringing those hips in. There's something, Pop, probably a knee.